Chosen one. Heaven has been watching. The shaking you feel right now is not a coincidence. The atmosphere around you is shifting because your final storm has begun. You are standing in the space between what was and what will be, between the breaking and the becoming. Every force that once slept against your destiny has now awakened because it senses what you are about to step into. This is not the time to run, not the time to fade away. This is the hour to stand. You have felt it for days, the restlessness in your spirit, the way even your sleep has carried the weight of unseen wars. Heaven has whispered your name in the wind, and hell has trembled to hear it. You are not imagining the pressure, the resistance, the constant tug in your soul. This is the final test before the release. Every storm that has ever touched you was only preparation for this one. You see, the darkness does not fight what does not threaten it. It comes for what carries light. That's why you have been hit from every direction. But do not mistake the pressure for punishment. It is proof of calling. It is the evidence that you have been marked by heaven. What you are walking through is not a breakdown, it is a birthing. Every tear you've shed, every delay you've endured, every door that slammed in your face was shaping you into the warrior you were destined to be. Listen carefully now. Chosen one. Heaven has pressed pause on everything around you to speak this into your spirit. Don't give up now. You are closer than you realize. The enemy's voice has been loud because you are near the finish line. Every distraction has been crafted to make you quit one step before the breakthrough. But you must resist. You must anchor your heart to the promise that has carried you this far. There will be moments when it feels like God is silent. But silence is not absence. The silence of heaven is often the sound of strategy. When you cannot trace his hand, trust his heart. When you cannot see the way forward, remember what he already said. The same God who delivered you from the last battle will not abandon you in this one. You are not forgotten. You are being refined. Raise your head. Beloved, the heavens are not mocking you. They are aligning for your defense. Angels have taken their positions. The wind that once opposed you will soon push you. What was meant to bury, you will become the soil that proves your roots were deeper than the storm. Every fiery dart thrown at you will fall uselessly to the ground, for you are covered by divine protection. As the prophet wrote in the scroll of Isaiah, chapter 42, verse 31, "But those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength. They will soar on wings like eagles. They will run and not faint." That promise is your anchor now. Let those words live inside you. You will not break here. You will rise. Even now, your spirit is catching wind again. You are remembering who you are, a vessel of glory, a warrior of light, a living testimony that survival was never the end goal. Victory was. So, wipe your tears. Straighten your crown. The shaking you feel is heaven's announcement that your elevation is next. Do not be surprised when the same ones who doubted you must watch you walk through doors they were never meant to enter. This is divine timing, and it is unfolding exactly as written. Chosen one. Before this section ends, I need you to do something symbolic, a prophetic act of faith. If this message has reached your spirit, like this message, share it so it reaches another warrior who is about to give up. And comment below the number 777, the number of completion, the sign that this is your last storm before fulfillment. You are not alone. You are not defeated. This is your last battle, and you are about to win it. You carry the scars of many wars. Chosen one. Some are visible. Most are not. They live in the quiet places of your heart, where no one else has seen the weight you've had to bear. There are moments when you've wondered, why me? Why so much? Why for so long? But every battle, every heartbreak, every delay has been divinely permitted not to destroy you, but to develop you. The weight you feel is not random. It is the pressure that forges purpose. You have been in battles that others would not have survived. You've walked through seasons where the very ground beneath you seemed to vanish. Yet somehow, you kept standing. There were nights when you were surrounded by darkness so thick you could not even see your own hope, and still, something in you refused to die. That something was divine. It was the hand of God refusing to let go. You see, your life has been training. Every rejection prepared you to stand alone. Every betrayal taught you discernment. Every delay matured your faith. And though you may not have realized it, the same hands that allowed the storm were holding you through it. God was never punishing you. He was preparing you for a weight of glory that could not rest on untested shoulders. Now, look back for a moment. Can you see it? The patterns, the lessons hidden in the pain. Each time you thought you had lost, you actually gained wisdom. Each time something was taken, something deeper was planted. The losses were never losses, they were exchanges. You gave up comfort, and in return, received strength. You lost people, and in return, found purpose. You faced endings, only to be pushed toward divine beginnings. Chosen one. You have carried more than most, because you were meant to build what most cannot. You have survived too much to question your calling now. There is no coincidence in your survival. You are living evidence that grace can rebuild what life tried to bury. So, breathe. Let the memories of your battles become reminders of how faithful God has been. He has never failed you. Even when you didn't understand His timing, He was weaving redemption through every detour. As was spoken in the sacred texts of old, the Book of Psalms, chapter 30, verse 5. Weeping may endure for a night, but joy comes in the morning. That verse is not just comfort, it is prophecy. It declares that pain has an expiration date. The nights of sorrow do not last forever. Morning is inevitable, and for you, that morning is near. Every battle you have endured has brought you closer to the dawn. So lift your eyes. The horizon is glowing with the first light of victory. You are not the same person who entered the war. You are wiser, stronger, softer where it matters, and fiercer where it counts. Heaven has been chiseling away everything false so that only the eternal remains. Do not despise your scars. They are sacred. They are proof that hell tried and failed. Proof that the fire refined but did not consume you. Proof that when the world said, broken, heaven said, chosen. Mo, you carry the weight of many wars. Yes, but you also carry the glory of many victories. And though the world may not yet see it, heaven already does. Every battle you fought has built a warrior who will not bow, not bend, not break. You are the fulfillment of survival's promise, that nothing surrendered to God is ever lost. The road ahead may still hold shadows, but the worst has already passed. What once buried you now becomes your platform. What once silenced you will soon amplify your voice. The same pain that made you question your worth will become the very evidence of your divine assignment. There is power in your endurance. Chosen one. The heavens measure greatness not by how loud you shout, but by how long you stand. You have stood when everything told you to collapse. You have believed when logic told you to quit. You have prayed when words failed. That is the mark of the called, the unyielding spirit that refuses to surrender before destiny is fulfilled. Let this truth settle deep into your heart. You are not the sum of what happened to you. You are the product of what God is doing through you. The pain, the confusion, the tears, they are the soil where His glory grows. What looks like ashes to the world are altars in heaven's eyes. And when the world finally sees you rise, it will not be a surprise to heaven. It will simply be the revealing of what heaven always knew, that the one who survived every storm was never fragile, but chosen from the beginning to carry the light through the dark. There was a time, chosen one, when heaven felt silent. You prayed, but the words seemed to dissolve in the air before they ever reached God's throne. You searched for His presence, but the heavens felt sealed, and the quiet pressed against your soul like a weight too heavy to carry. You wondered if perhaps you had missed something, if your faith had failed, or if God had turned away. But the silence was never His absence. It was His strategy. You see, in every great journey of faith, there comes a moment when heaven hides to reveal what's inside of you. When the voice stops echoing, the echo of obedience must continue. The teacher is silent, not because the lesson is over, but because the student is being tested. What you thought was abandonment was actually promotion. Heaven stepping back so you could step up. There is a sacred mystery in the silence of God. It forces you to remember what He said before you stopped hearing Him. It compels you to trust His word, even when you cannot sense His warmth. The quiet seasons are the proving grounds of the chosen. It is there that faith stops being a feeling and becomes a fire. And, chosen one, you have walked through that fire. You have faced nights when the stillness screamed louder than thunder. Yet you did not quit. You waited. You trusted. You held on to promises that seemed too delayed to still be real. You didn't realize it then. But heaven was, every warrior must learn to fight without noise. Every prophet must learn to hear God in the windless nights. Every chosen one must learn that silence is not punishment. It's the weightlifting of the Spirit. It strengthens your hearing, your patience, your discernment. When God seems far, He's actually closer than breath, working beneath the surface of your stillness. In those quiet moments, heaven measures your trust. The unseen realm watches how you wait, how you guard your heart when no applause comes. That is where true faith is proven, not in the thunder of miracles, but in the whisper of endurance that says, "Even here, I will not let go." Not. The Spirit spoke through the prophet Jeremiah. Chapter 29, verse 11. "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you. Plans to give you hope and a future." These are not empty words. They are a reminder. Even when God is silent, His plans are not. His promises do not expire because your emotions fluctuate. His silence is the soil where His strategy grows. So if you are walking through that quiet place right now, where prayers seem unanswered and days blur together, hold fast. The silence is birthing your strength. Heaven is calibrating your spirit for the next revelation. The one who called you has not forgotten you. He is still moving, still shaping, still writing your story in invisible ink. You have learned to stand in stillness. You have learned that peace does not come from noise, but from knowing that the God who was faithful before will be faithful again. Knowing that what looks like nothing is actually everything being rearranged for your good. Knowing that the silence of God is never empty. It is full of unspoken promises waiting for their appointed time. There is a moment coming, and it is closer than you think, when the silence will break. The wind will shift. The same God who seemed quiet will suddenly speak, and every unanswered question will make sense. You will realize that his silence was never about withholding, it was about preparing. Chosen one, take this moment to breathe in faith again. You are not being ignored. You are being refined. You are not forgotten. You are being fortified. Every second of silence has been shaping the strength that will carry you through your final battle. And now, as you read these words, I want you to respond prophetically. In the comments below, type, "I still trust," not as a reaction, but as a declaration. Let the world know that silence has not stolen your faith. Type it as a sign that even when you cannot see, you still believe, that your faith is not fragile, but forged. Because, chosen one, trust is the purest form of worship. To trust God in the noise is easy. To trust him in the silence that is holy. The storm does not speak softly. Chosen one, it roars. It tries to drown out the whispers of heaven with the clamor of fear and confusion. You've stood in the middle of chaos before, but this one feels different. Louder, closer, personal. It comes not only to shake your circumstances, but to question your identity. It asks, who are you to believe you're chosen? It throws every doubt you've ever had back into your face, trying to convince you that you are forgotten, unworthy, and alone. But you must understand, storms are liars. Their noise is deception. The enemy knows he cannot destroy what is protected, so he aims to distract what is powerful. And you, beloved, are powerful. The reason the chaos seems louder now is because your destiny is closer now. The opposition intensifies right before breakthrough, because darkness always screams loudest when it knows it's about to lose. You have walked through battles that built this moment. Every past trial has taught you to hear the difference between the voice of fear and the whisper of faith. Listen carefully now. Not every voice that speaks to you deserves an answer. The enemy shouts to shake you. Heaven whispers to strengthen you. You must tune your spirit to the frequency of peace, even while the storm howls. There is a whisper in the chaos, and it carries your name. It is not the sound of fear, but of authority, a reminder from heaven that you were made for this exact moment. You are not being tested for destruction, but for promotion. The shaking you feel is not the breaking of your life, but the breaking of your limits. You are being stretched, expanded, redefined. The God who called you is still in control of the wind. Every chosen one must learn this discipline. The power of your destiny is not in the absence of storms, but in your ability to hear God through them. The world listens for proof. You listen for presence. The world demands signs. You recognize whispers. This is how you rise above the chaos, not by silencing it, but by refusing to let it define your truth. The whisper that speaks your name carries life. It reminds you that you are not lost, not forgotten, and not forsaken. The God who began the good work in you has not abandoned it halfway. The storm has not stolen his plan. The waves have not erased his promises. Even now, he is speaking through the wind, not to frighten you, but to call you closer. According to what is revealed in the book of Proverbs, chapter 3, verse 5, trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. That is the anchor for your soul. It is permission to stop trying to calculate your survival and start resting in divine sovereignty. You do not need to understand everything to keep standing. You simply need to trust. Faith is not built on explanations, it's built on revelation. When the storm rages and your understanding fails, faith becomes sight in the unseen. You are not walking by logic, you are walking by promise. The whisper in the chaos does not shout for attention, it waits for alignment. It waits for your spirit to quiet the panic and tune into purpose. Chosen one, this is the secret. Peace is not the absence of chaos, it's the mastery of it. To carry peace when everything around you screams destruction is to reveal heaven on earth. And you, yes, you, are that revelation. That's why the enemy fights you so fiercely. You carry what he lost, divine authority wrapped in human form. He cannot steal your promise, but he tries to distort your perception. He cannot touch your anointing, but he wants to convince you that you have none. Yet even in his loudest attempt to discourage you, the whisper cuts through. It's gentle, but it's absolute. You are mine. The whisper is not random. It is strategic. It comes right when you are about to drown in questions, reminding you that peace is not earned, it is given. When you choose to believe that voice, even the fiercest winds lose power over you. Let your heart settle now. The noise outside may continue, but your spirit knows better. You've heard the whisper. You've felt the presence. You know the truth that no storm can outshout the voice of God within you. You are learning what few ever do, that chaos is not your enemy, but your classroom. Each roar of thunder tests your roots, and each gust of wind teaches your wings. You were not meant to hide from the storm, you were built to command it. So stand, even now. Let the world roar. Let fear rise. But stay anchored in the whisper, because long after the noise fades, his voice will remain. And when the silence finally returns, it will not be empty. It will echo with the truth that you endured. You believed, and you prevailed. Hell does not waste energy on the insignificant. Chosen one, the intensity of your current battle is proof of your importance in the eternal plan. You felt the pressure build not just around you, but inside you, the confusion, the fatigue, the unseen warfare pressing against your mind, whispering that it's all too much. But make no mistake, this is not an ordinary attack. This is hell's last counterattack. The darkness knows what heaven has already decided, that your breakthrough is near, and your obedience has set things in motion that cannot be undone. Imagine for a moment a torch burning in a cave. The deeper the darkness, the more fiercely the flame dances. You are that torch. The shadows gather not because you are weak, but because your light exposes what they've tried to hide. Every whisper of fear, every thought of quitting, it's the storm's last scream before the calm of victory. The enemy is desperate. He knows his time to confuse you is running out. That's why the attacks have felt personal, precise, even repetitive. Estudis your patterns, your wounds, the places you've healed but still feel tender. He strikes there because he knows how close you are to freedom, But take heart. Chosen one, this pressure is not punishment, it's prophecy. The struggle is evidence that the old chains are breaking. The voice of God thundered in the book of Exodus, chapter 14, verse 14. The Lord will fight for you. You need only to be still. Those words are not ancient history. They are your present command. You do not need to outthink the enemy. You do not need to prove your worth or justify your pain. You simply need to hold your position. Stillness is not weakness, it is authority. When you stop striving and start standing, heaven takes over the battle. You've been fighting for so long that rest feels foreign. But this season is different. God is not calling you to fight harder. He's calling you to trust deeper. The walls shaking around you are not meant to collapse on you. They're meant to fall before you. Everything shaking loose right now is part of divine dismantling. God is removing what cannot go with you into your next chapter. Think of a butterfly's cocoon, dark, tight, almost suffocating. The caterpillar doesn't know that the pressure within is forming wings. In the same way, this battle is forming something in you that cannot exist without resistance. The isolation, the tears, the confusion, they are weaving strength into your spirit. You are not breaking down. You are breaking through. You have been faithful in the quiet. You've chosen forgiveness when bitterness was easier. You've stayed when walking away would have been justified. You've prayed when your faith felt fragile. Heaven has seen every moment, and not one has been wasted. Every unseen act of endurance has become a brick in the foundation of your destiny. And now, beloved, a gentle truth. There are others walking through storms just like yours. They scroll through silence, aching for a word of hope, for a voice that reminds them that light still exists. When you share what has strengthened you, you become a lighthouse for another weary soul. So, if this message resonates in your heart, if it feels like a mirror to your spirit, do this one simple act, like this message. Share it so it can reach another warrior fighting their last battle. And subscribe to stay close to the flow of these divine reminders. It is not about numbers, it is about connection. When one light joins another, darkness loses ground. You never know who might need the word that once kept you standing. You see, chosen one, when you spread the message, you're not promoting a voice, you're participating in deliverance. Every share is a torch passed forward. Every act of engagement is an act of faith, saying, I will not keep this fire to myself. Then, the world is full of noise, empty, hollow, and fleeting, but divine truth spreads quietly, like ripples on still water, touching hearts long after your words are gone. You become part of that sacred ripple every time you choose to carry the message of hope instead of despair. And here's what you must never forget. The same God who began this battle in you will finish it through you. The darkness that once mocked you will witness your resurrection. The weapons that formed against you will become the testimonies that fuel others' faith. You are not just surviving this last attack, you are turning it into a weapon for generations after you. So, breathe. Lift your head. The heat you feel is not destruction, it's the friction of transformation. The storm is loud because it is losing. The fire burns because it is refining. And soon, very soon, what felt like your undoing will become your unveiling. You are standing in the final moments before manifestation, and when the dust settles, you will not just have survived, you will have been reborn. Chosen one. You are walking through the fire now, but not the fire that destroys. This is the fire that purifies, the kind that strips away the unnecessary, the shallow, the false layers of who you were, so that the gold beneath can finally shine. It is uncomfortable. Yes, it burns. It exposes. It leaves you raw and trembling. But what you don't yet see is that this same fire is heaven's final preparation for your rising. There are two kinds of fires in life: the one sent by the enemy to consume you, and the one permitted by God to cleanse you. This, right now, is the latter. It feels the same at first: the heat, the loss, the fear of what will remain when it's all over. But when it's divine fire, it does not come to destroy, it comes to define. You are being refined into someone new. In this season, God is not trying to take something from you. He is trying to take you somewhere deeper. The comfort you once had can no longer contain the calling that's emerging. You are being stretched, melted, reshaped, because destiny demands a stronger vessel. Think of gold. When it is first pulled from the earth, it's hidden under layers of dirt and stone. Only when it is placed in the furnace does its brilliance emerge. That furnace is not cruelty, it is process. And so it is with you. You have been placed in a furnace of transformation, not as punishment, but as proof of worth. Heaven only refines what it intends to use greatly. Heaven speaks clearly through the words in Deuteronomy, chapter 8, verse 2. Remember how the Lord your God led you through the wilderness for 40 years, humbling and testing you to prove your character and to find out whether you would obey his commands. This fire, you feel, is your wilderness moment, not to shame you, but to show you. It reveals what you've carried, what you've healed, and what still needs to go before the next level of anointing can rest on you. God tests not to break you, but to prove you, to reveal to you that you can endure more than you ever imagined. Every tear in this season is sacred. It's washing away the residue of old seasons that can't travel forward. The people who left, they were never meant to survive the temperature of your next chapter. The opportunities that closed, they would have limited what God is now unlocking. You are not losing, you are being refined for greater. There will be moments when you feel stripped of everything familiar. When you look around and see ashes where there once was comfort. But listen, the ashes are not the end. They are the soil of rebirth. From them, new strength rises. New wisdom grows. New authority awakens. You are not being reduced, you are being revealed. And the fire, though painful, is holy. It is burning away your dependence on the approval of others. It is consuming the fear that used to dictate your choices. It is dismantling every false identity you've carried, so that what remains is pure, unshakable, divinely forged purpose. You have prayed for elevation, chosen one. But elevation always comes through purification. Before the crown comes the furnace. Before the glory comes the grind. Before the unveiling comes the undoing. And though you may not yet see it, every second in the flame is aligning you with destiny. You must not despise this refining season. You must not rush it. When gold leaves the fire too soon, it remains weak, easily bent, easily tarnished. But when it stays until the perfect time, it becomes incorruptible. So let the fire finish its work in you. Let it burn away every counterfeit version of who you thought you were. And when it's over, you'll rise, shining, not the same person, but a purified vessel carrying holy fire. Those who once questioned your worth will witness the glow of what obedience through suffering looks like. You will no longer need to explain your anointing. Your endurance will speak for you. Chosen one. If this message burns in your spirit like truth, if you feel the heat of transformation in your own soul, then I want you to do something prophetic. Comment the number 555 below. It is the number of divine grace multiplied, the number of transition, the symbol that something new is being birthed from within your fire. When you write it, you're declaring, I am not consumed. I am being refined. You're testifying to heaven and to your own soul that this season is not your ending, but your awakening. The fire that surrounds you today will soon become the light that guides others tomorrow. Let it burn. Chosen. One, for what emerges from the flame will carry the fragrance of heaven and the unshakable beauty of one who was purified, not destroyed. There are promises that have followed you all your life. Chosen. One, words whispered over your spirit before you even knew how to pray. Visions that visited you in dreams, and moments when heaven seemed to pause time just to remind you that your life is part of a divine covenant. You may have forgotten some of those promises, but heaven hasn't. The covenant stands. It always has. There are times, though, when a promise feels like a ghost, something once bright but now distant. You remember the fire that once burned in your spirit, the certainty that God had marked you for something extraordinary, and yet, years passed. Prayers turned into waiting, waiting into wondering, wondering into weariness. You began to question whether the promise was still alive or if you had simply imagined it. But chosen one, promises from heaven do not die. They only go underground for a season, like seeds that rest until the right rain falls. You see, God's promises are not fragile. They do not expire because of time or fade because of silence. They are written in the language of eternity. The same God who spoke them has preserved them, even through your doubts and your detours. You may have felt delayed, but the promise was never derailed. Every year of waiting has been part of its preparation. Think of Abraham. He was given a promise that defied logic and time. He looked at his circumstances and saw impossibility. But God saw destiny unfolding at the pace of perfection. You, too, are walking in that same rhythm, a divine tempo where delay is disguise. The waiting has not been wasted. It has been weaving strength into your faith. The covenant is not dependent on your perfection. It's dependent on God's faithfulness. Even when you stumbled, the promise remained anchored. Even when your faith flickered, heaven kept your candle burning. Because the promise was never built on your power, it was built on His word. As Jesus Himself declared in the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 24, verse 35, "Heaven and earth will pass away, but my words will never pass away." Those words are more than a verse. They are the heartbeat of your story. Everything around you may shift, fade, or crumble, but the word over your life stands unbroken. Every promise still carries heaven's breath. It cannot be undone by time, by failure, or by the opinions of others. It is sealed by eternity itself. Chosen one. Perhaps you've seen glimpses of the promise, small signs that it's still alive. A door you thought was closed begins to move. A connection resurfaces. A spark of faith reignites. That is not coincidence. It's heaven reminding you that the covenant has not expired. It's still active, still breathing, still unfolding in divine sequence. There are seasons when God goes silent, not because the promise is gone, but because He's building your capacity to carry it. The longer the wait, the greater the weight of what's coming. Some promises require maturity, others require pruning, but all require trust. And you, chosen one, have proven again and again that even when weary, you remain faithful. The promise may not have come when you wanted it, but it will arrive when it's right, not a second late, not a moment too soon. The covenant of heaven is precise. It does not bend to your calendar. It bows only to divine timing. And when the fulfillment comes, you'll see that the waiting was the womb of your transformation. Look at your journey, the tears, the breakthroughs, the delays, the fire, the silence. All of it has been forming you into someone capable of handling what once would have crushed you. God doesn't just fulfill promises, He prepares people to carry them. You are being prepared to hold what you once only hoped for. When the promise arrives, it will not feel like a surprise. It will feel like remembrance, as though your soul already knew it was coming. Because deep within, your spirit remembers every word heaven ever spoke over you. You were born with covenant written into your bones. So, lift your eyes again. What you thought was forgotten is only hidden. What you thought was lost is waiting for its appointed time. The God who began your story will not let it end in delay. His promises are not wishful words, they are contracts written in eternal ink, signed by the one who cannot lie. You are not chasing a miracle. You are walking toward manifestation. And soon, the very promise that felt distant will stand before you, alive and undeniable, whispering what heaven has been saying all along. I never left. He never forgot. I am faithful still. The fiercest battles are not fought in the open fields of circumstance. Chosen one. They are fought in the hidden landscape of your mind. The battlefield within is where the loudest wars rage, where doubt and faith wrestle for dominion, where the voice of truth contends with the echo of fear. The outer storms may come and go, but this inner war shapes everything you are becoming. There are moments when you look calm on the outside, yet inside, your spirit trembles. You smile while your thoughts spiral. You worship while your mind whispers. What if it doesn't work out? What if you're not enough? The enemy knows he cannot steal your anointing, so he aims for your agreement. If he can convince you to believe the lie, he can chain your destiny without ever touching your body. The war within is subtle. It begins with small questions, kiedut, whispers of inadequacy. But those whispers, if left unchallenged, grow roots. They feed insecurity, fear, and exhaustion. They make you believe that peace is something external, a result of control, when in truth, peace begins with surrender. You have been through enough to know that not every thought is your own. Some were planted suggestions from the darkness that feed on your exhaustion. But heaven has given you authority, chosen one, not only to silence the voices around you, but to renew the one within you. The greatest victory comes not when the world changes, but when your mind does. The Apostle Paul spoke of this sacred warfare in the book of 2 Corinthians, chapter 10, verse 5. We demolish arguments and every pretension that sets itself up against the knowledge of God, and we take captive every thought to make it obedient to Christ. Those words are not poetry, they are strategy. Every thought that says you are forgotten must bow to the truth that you are chosen. Every whisper that says you have failed must submit to the declaration that grace has already covered you. You do not fight these battles with emotion, you fight them with revelation. You are not a prisoner of your thoughts, you are their commander. This is what maturity in the Spirit looks like: to walk through chaos with a quiet mind, to feel the tremor of fear but choose faith anyway, to stand in the storm and remember that peace was never outside you. It was placed inside you by the one who breathed life into your soul. There will always be moments when the shadows try to speak again, reminding you of your past, replaying old fears, tempting you to lose focus. But the same voice that spoke light into the void now speaks through you. You carry that authority. The darkness cannot outshout the word living within you. Your mind is the altar where faith is renewed daily. That's why the enemy fights it so fiercely, because if he can exhaust your thoughts, he can weaken your prayers. But you are learning. Chosen one. You are learning to pause before reacting, to pray before deciding, to replace panic with presence. That is how you win one surrendered thought at a time. Every time you choose peace over fear, you wage war in heaven's favor. Every time you reject lies, you fortify your spirit. Every time you speak truth out loud, you break chains that have been tightening for years. Do not underestimate the quiet victories. They are the foundations of visible miracles. It's strange, isn't it? The closer you get to your destiny, the louder the noise becomes. The mind tries to replay every insecurity as if to test your focus one last time. But this is not the time to retreat into anxiety, it is the time to rise in authority. Your thoughts are not meant to torment you, they are meant to serve your calling. So, renew your mind daily. Guard your peace as if it were gold, because in the Spirit, it is. Keep your focus fixed on what you know to be true, that you are loved, chosen, forgiven, and equipped. No thought has the power to undo what grace has already established. And when you feel the war rising again, remember this: peace is not the absence of thoughts, it's the mastery of them. It's the decision to trust what God has spoken above what the enemy suggests. It's the stillness that remains, even when chaos screams. Chosen one. Your victory is already written. The battlefield within is not where you lose, it's where you learn who you are. And who you are is unshakable, unbreakable, unstoppable. A mind anchored in divine truth, a heart guarded by holy fire, a soul that knows that even the war within is part of heaven's plan to reveal strength you never knew you carried. There is a shift happening in the unseen. Chosen one, you may not see it with your eyes, but your spirit already senses it. The atmosphere around you feels charged, heavy with motion. The prayers you've whispered through tears are no longer lingering in the air. They are forming commands in heaven's courts. The angels have taken their positions. What you have been fighting alone is about to be reinforced by divine armies that move at the sound of faith. You have felt weary lately, haven't you? The kind of exhaustion that sits not in your body, but in your soul. You've wondered if you can keep pushing, keep believing, keep hoping. But this weariness is not weakness, it's the signal that the battle is shifting hands. You have done your part. You've prayed when you could barely speak, believed when you had nothing left, and kept standing when everything told you to fall. Now, heaven is responding. There are moments when divine intervention comes quietly, like dew before dawn. But this time, it will come like thunder. The enemy who thought he had you surrounded is about to realize that you were never alone. Heaven was silent for a moment, only to position itself for victory. What's happening now is not random. It's the unveiling of the reinforcements assigned to your destiny. The world around you may still look unchanged, but that's only because heaven works in the roots before it appears in the fruit. The soil of your obedience has been watered with tears, and now the harvest angels are stirring. The unseen realm is not still, it's alive, moving, aligning. The forces of light are surrounding the very places where darkness once claimed dominion, as the prophet wrote in the scroll of 2 Kings, chapter 6, verse 17. Then Elisha prayed, "Open his eyes, Lord, so that he may see." End quote. The Lord opened his eyes, and he saw the hills full of chariots of fire. Those chariots still ride today. Chosen one, they have been released around you not because of your perfection, but because of your perseverance. The moment you refused to quit, heaven mobilized on your behalf. Every unseen angel has an assignment. Every gust of spiritual wind, a purpose. The same God who surrounded Elisha now surrounds you. The warfare has been heavy because the territory is holy. You are standing on ground that has prophetic wasteland that the enemy once used to torment you, will soon become the ground from which your testimony rises. You may not have seen the angels, but they've seen you every time you chose peace over panic, faith over fear, praise over despair. Those choices were not small, they were signals. Every act of obedience called heaven's attention. Sometimes the greatest power isn't in what you fight, but in what you refuse to surrender. You refuse to let bitterness consume you. You refuse to let the lie become your truth. And because of that, heaven has declared, enough. The tide is turning. What was meant to break you will now bow before you. Feel this in your spirit, the air shifting, the invisible aligning. You are not surrounded by defeat. You are surrounded by deliverance. And soon, what was unseen will manifest in a way that leaves no room for doubt. The people who thought you were finished will see that you were merely hidden, shielded, until heaven was ready to reveal you. The angels assigned to you are not just defending, they are rebuilding. They are rearranging paths, restoring time, reopening doors that were once shut by human hands. They are carrying answers to prayers that seemed long forgotten. Every delay, every disappointment, every detour, heaven is rewriting it all. Chosen one, your battle was never just about you. The moment you rise, others rise with you. The moment you break through, generations feel the ripple. This is why the opposition was fierce, because your victory will echo beyond your name. You are not fighting for survival anymore. You are fighting for legacy. So when the chaos tries to whisper, you're alone. Remember, the hills are full of fire. Remember that your name has been spoken in heaven's war room. Remember that you are covered, surrounded, and defended by forces far greater than anything that stands against you. And now, I want you to seal this truth with a declaration, something short, powerful, and prophetic. In the comments below, type, "I am covered." Oh, type it not as a reaction, but as revelation. Say it as someone who knows that heaven has encircled them with favor and flame. Declare it as one who no longer fights for victory, but from victory. Each word you write becomes a spiritual signature, A reminder to your own soul that though you stand on a battlefield, you are never alone in it. Chosen one. The angels are moving. The heavens are responding. And you, the one who once felt surrounded by darkness, are about to discover that it was the light surrounding you all along. The air feels strange now, doesn't it? Chosen one, the storm that once roared around you has quieted, yet the silence feels heavier than the thunder ever did. You stand in the stillness, unsure if the battle is truly over or if this is just the calm before another wave. The world around you seems paused, no movement, no sound. Only the echo of your heartbeat, reminding you that you've survived what should have destroyed you. But this silence is not emptiness, it is transition. It is the space between warfare and victory, between pain and purpose. Heaven often whispers in this quiet, not to alarm you, but to prepare you. When the noise stops, the voice of God grows clearer. The silence before victory is sacred ground. It is where your spirit learns to rest, while heaven completes what you started. You've done all you can do. You've prayed, fought, believed, and endured. Now, like a seed buried beneath the earth, you must trust the unseen work happening beneath the soil of your surrender. Growth doesn't happen under the applause. It happens in the dark, when no one sees, when no one claps, when no one even knows you're still standing. There's beauty in that hidden place. The silence that feels like stillness is actually God setting things in divine order. He's rearranging connections, softening hearts, and aligning paths that you cannot see yet. The world above might think you're buried, but heaven knows you're being planted. And when the time comes, what was hidden will break through the surface with unstoppable force. The Apostle reminds us in his letter to the Galatians, chapter 6, verse 9, "Let us not grow weary in doing good, for in due season we shall reap, if we do not give up." Due season, two words that carry a promise. They mean there is a time appointed for your reward, a moment when all your unseen faith will bear visible fruit. This silence is not punishment, it's the pause before manifestation. You are standing in the breath that God takes before he speaks. It is done. But I know. Chosen one. Waiting is hard. When the noise fades, doubts grow louder. The mind starts replaying every failure, every delay, every what if. You look at your life and wonder if the promises will ever unfold the way you imagined. Yet this is where faith graduates, not when everything is clear, but when you keep believing, even when clarity doesn't come. Think of an artist painting in deep hues. From up close, the brush strokes look chaotic, dark against dark, color blending into shadow. But when you step back, you see the masterpiece forming. Right now, you're too close to your own canvas. You see the smudges, the confusion, the dark strokes of pain, but heaven sees the whole picture, and it is breathtaking. And because this moment is sacred, let it reach others who stand in the same waiting silence. There are people scrolling through storms of their own hearts, heavy, faith flickering, wondering if God has forgotten their name. Sometimes all they need is a voice to say, "You are not alone." The silence is holy. So, if these words have met you right where you are, if they've reminded you to breathe again, like this message, not as routine, but as worship, share it so that it can find another weary soul in the shadows. And if you haven't yet, Subscribe, not for content, but for connection, because in this space, we rise together, we heal together, and we remind each other that faith still lives here. Every click, every share, every whisper of Amen is a ripple of light pushing back the tide of despair. You may think it small, but heaven measures differently. What feels like a gesture online can become a miracle in someone else's midnight. That's the mystery of divine timing. Your obedience plants seeds in hearts you'll never meet. This silence, this stillness, is your rehearsal for joy. God is letting you catch your breath before the curtain rises on a new chapter. When the music begins again, it will not sound like mourning, it will sound like victory. The same God who held you in chaos is now holding you in quiet, not because he's finished, but because he's fine-tuning the finale. You are the survivor who became a student of silence, learning that peace isn't the absence of storms, but the presence of trust. Hold this moment close. It is your sacred in-between, the proof that stillness, too, is part of the song of destiny. So rest. Chosen one. Not because the journey is over, but because the next rise requires renewed strength. When the trumpet of breakthrough sounds, you will not just walk out, you will soar. Chosen one. There comes a moment when you must face the invisible walls, the delays that have chained your destiny, the patterns that repeat no matter how much you pray, the unseen hands that seem to hold back what is already promised to you. This is that moment. The air around you is heavy with purpose, but you can feel the tension, something ancient trying to resist your arrival. You are standing at the threshold between captivity and completion, and the command from heaven is clear: break the chains of delay. Delay is not denial, but it can become a prison if you mistake waiting for waiting forever. The truth is, there are spiritual forces that feed on hesitation, doubts that whisper, maybe this isn't for you, fears that make you shrink just as the door begins to open. Every chosen one must confront this invisible barrier. You cannot carry the weight of destiny while being tied to yesterday's hesitation. This is not the time to tiptoe. This is the moment to command what belongs to you. The promises you've prayed for, the visions you've nurtured, the dreams that refuse to die, they are not fantasies, they are heaven's blueprint. The delay has lasted long enough. God has heard your cry. And now he calls you to move in authority. But first, understand this: some delays are not caused by the enemy, but by divine mercy. Heaven sometimes holds back what you've asked for until you're ready to handle it. Blessings given too soon can feel like burdens. Power released too early can crush rather than crown. So, if the waiting has been long, it's because the refining has been deep. You are not being punished, you are being prepared. Still, there comes a moment when divine timing and divine readiness collide, and that moment is now. The scales are tipping. The things that resisted you are losing their grip. Heaven has already declared release. Now, it's your turn to echo it on earth. We are reminded through the writings of David in the Psalms. Chapter 102, verse 13. You will arise and have mercy on Zion, for the time to favor her. Yes, the set time has come. That verse is a decree, not a hope, not a wish, but a declaration. The set time has come. The word set means appointed, chosen, divinely fixed. It means Heaven has decided, and no earthly delay can overrule divine timing. The waiting you've endured has reached its fulfillment. Chosen one. This is the hour when spiritual traffic clears. What once took years will now unfold swiftly. The things that were tied up are being loosed. Resources, opportunities, relationships, and revelations that were suspended are descending into alignment. You may not feel it yet, but it's already in motion. The invisible gears of destiny are turning again. It's time to release every fear of what if it happens again. The pain of past disappointments has conditioned you to flinch at hope, but this time is different. You are different. You've been reshaped by obedience, toughened by trial, purified by fire. You no longer approach blessings as a beggar, you stand as an heir. Heaven responds to that posture. The delay is breaking, not just around you, but within you. The hesitation to believe, the hesitation to act, the hesitation to receive those are chains. Too, and they are snapping, even now. What once felt impossible will soon become inevitable. You'll find yourself walking through doors you used to only dream about. You'll feel the wind of acceleration where there once was resistance. Do not be surprised when things start to move quickly. The same God who seemed slow is now moving suddenly. The same silence that once tested your patience will now thunder with fulfillment. The slow seasons have trained you to walk carefully, but now you must learn to run courageously. Chosen one. As you read these words, something within you is stirring. Not just hope, but permission. Heaven is whispering, go forward. The gates that held you have opened. The weight that pressed you has lifted. You no longer walk under the shadow of not yet. You are stepping into the light of now. End. So breathe deeply. The air feels different because it's freer. The sound around you may not have changed, but the atmosphere has. You've crossed a threshold in the spirit. The delay that haunted you is no more. And as you move forward, you'll realize that what once blocked you has become your testimony. Proof that divine timing is not denial, but design. Your story will soon read like this. I waited, and it was worth it. Because the moment heaven said now, every locked door remembered your name. There comes a holy moment. Chosen one. When your eyes finally open and everything begins to make sense, the questions that once tormented you begin to fade. The wounds that once defined you begin to close. The fog that surrounded your past begins to lift, revealing the hidden hand of God that was guiding you all along. This right here, right now, is that moment. The prophetic turning point. You are standing at the intersection of revelation and restoration. The path that once seemed random is now being illuminated. You see how every delay, every detour, every heartbreak had a purpose. Heaven was never silent. It was strategic. You were never being punished. You were being positioned. The pain you thought would bury you became the soil where your destiny was planted. There's something sacred about hindsight. When you look back with spiritual eyes, the chaos begins to look like choreography. The very storms that seemed to scatter you were actually steering you. You can finally see the pattern. God wasn't breaking you. He was building you through divine design. The tears were the water. The pressure was the fire. The silence was the soil. And all of it was necessary. According to what is revealed in the book of Romans, chapter 8, verse 28, And we know that all things work together for good to those who love God, to those who are called according to His purpose. You've read that verse before, maybe even whispered it through tears. But now, it doesn't just comfort you, it defines you. You are living proof that all things means all things. The mistakes, the missed chances, the betrayals, the prayers that went unanswered, none of it was wasted. Heaven weaves even the worst into something redemptive. The broken threads become part of the tapestry of glory. You are standing in the part of your story where understanding replaces confusion. What once felt like loss now looks like mercy. What once felt delayed now looks perfectly timed. You begin to realize that if God had answered your earlier prayers, you would have settled for something far less than what He was preparing. The heartbreaks you thought were endings were actually redirections. The rejection you mourned was heaven's protection. And now, something new is being written. You are not just surviving seasons anymore, you are interpreting them. You are beginning to see patterns of purpose in what once looked like pain. The same things that once made you question God are now the very things that make you worship Him. That's what revelation does. It transforms confusion into clarity, wounds into wisdom, struggle into strategy. There is a calm inside you now, isn't there? That's not coincidence. That's divine understanding settling in your soul. You finally realize that even your wilderness was holy. You understand that obedience sometimes requires walking blind, trusting that one day you'll see the full picture. That day is dawning. Heaven is pulling back the curtain to show you what you've been walking toward all along. This turning point is not loud or dramatic. It's quiet. Like sunrise after a long night. You can feel it more than you can see it. That gentle shift in your spirit. That subtle peace that replaces panic. The weight is lifting. The striving is ceasing. The questions are keying. God isn't explaining everything. He's simply making you understand that you never needed to know how, only who. The story was never about control. It was about trust. Every time you released your need to understand, heaven moved. Every time you let go of your plan, destiny advanced. Every time you surrendered what you couldn't fix, God rebuilt it better. You're beginning to see that what looked like failure was foundation. Chosen one. Pause for a moment. Breathe deeply. Can you feel it? That peace is not temporary, it's prophetic. It's the kind of peace that means heaven is finished rearranging and is about to reveal what it's been preparing. You are stepping into a season of understanding, not confusion, of clarity, not chaos, of divine confirmation, not uncertainty. And if this truth has reached you, if you feel this quiet revelation resonating in your chest, then make a declaration of agreement. Comment the number 444 below. It is the number of divine alignment, of heaven's structure made visible on earth. It signifies that the building is complete, that what was once unseen is now standing before you in perfect order. When you write that number, you're not just typing, you're testifying. You're saying, my case had purpose. My delay had design. My pain had prophecy. You are marking the moment heaven turned your confusion into clarity. This is not the end of your story. It's the unveiling of the reason behind it. The prophetic turning point has come. And from this moment forward, you'll no longer ask, why me? You'll say, now I see. Chosen one. There is a sacred transformation happening within you, not loud, not sudden, but deep. It is the kind of change that only comes after long endurance, after seasons of holding on when everything inside you screamed to let go. You've walked through pain that stripped you bare, faced loss that bent you to your knees, endured silence that tested every ounce of faith you had left. Yet here you are, still standing. That alone is glory. That alone is proof that you have been chosen not just to begin, but to finish. There is a crown waiting for those who endure. Not a crown made of gold or jewels, but of authority, the kind that cannot be stolen, the kind that is earned through perseverance. Every tear you shed was a seed. Every trial, a training ground. The endurance you thought was breaking you was actually building your throne. You were being fitted for something eternal. You see, endurance is not passive. It's not simply surviving the storm, it's choosing to remain faithful in it. It's staying soft when the world hardens, hopeful when time delays, grateful when nothing makes sense. Endurance is the proof that your faith is not emotional, it's spiritual. It means that even when feelings fade, your foundation stands. This is the moment when heaven leans close and whispers, "You've passed the test. The furnace has done its work. What remains now is pure gold, a heart that still believes, a soul that still loves, a spirit that still hopes." You have not just survived the fire, you have become it. You burn with conviction now. You carry light not just for yourself, but for others who are still stumbling in the dark. As was spoken in the sacred texts of old, the book of James, chapter 1, verse 12, "Blessed is the one who perseveres under trial, because having stood the test, that person will receive the crown of life that the Lord has promised to those who love him." The crown of endurance is not just a symbol, it's a transfer of spiritual authority. When you endure, you gain understanding that cannot be taught, compassion that cannot be faked, and wisdom that cannot be borrowed. You begin to see through heaven's eyes, patient, merciful, unshaken. The same fire that once terrified you has now become your teacher. Look at yourself now. You carry peace where panic once lived. You move slower, but stronger, not because you've lost passion, but because you've gained perspective. You no longer chase validation. You carry quiet confidence. The waiting did not waste you, it refined you. The pain did not scar you, it anointed you. You are not who you were when this began, and that is the greatest miracle of all. Endurance has changed your language. Where you once said, "Why me?" you now say, "Use me." Where you once begged for escape, you now ask for purpose. You've learned that the reward is not avoiding hardship, but carrying light through it. That is the mark of those who wear the crown. They do not demand ease, they embody strength. There's something different in your eyes now, a calmness that comes only from having faced the storm and realized it could not drown you. You walk differently because you've seen what survival really means. You speak differently because you've learned that silence can be sacred. You love differently because you've discovered that forgiveness frees you more than anyone else. Chosen one. Endurance has not only proven your faith, it has revealed your divine identity. You are not a victim of circumstance. You are a vessel of resilience. You are the living testimony that grace can sustain what the world tries to break. This is what the crown truly represents: victory not over enemies, but over self, over fear, over doubt, over despair. You conquered the parts of you that once tried to quit. You rose from the ashes, not because life was kind, but because you were unyielding. And now, heaven marks you with quiet glory. The angels that once fought beside you now step back to honor what has been accomplished within you. You have become proof that the human spirit, infused with divine purpose, is unstoppable. You've learned to rest without retreating, to believe without seeing, to love without condition. The journey ahead will still have valleys, but you will not walk through them the same. You carry now the wisdom of endurance, the knowing that storms end, pain heals, and promises keep their word. You have become a living altar of perseverance, a reminder to the world that strength isn't loud, it's steady. So, wear your invisible crown proudly. It is not made of gold, but of grace. It glows quietly, like the sunrise after a long night, subtle, sure, and unstoppable. And when others ask how you made it, you'll smile, because you'll know the truth. You didn't just survive the trial, you were transformed by it. Heaven is not silent now. Chosen one, it is singing. The air around you carries a different rhythm, a quiet rejoicing that your spirit can feel even before your mind fully understands it. You have crossed through the valley, endured the furnace, and withstood the storms. Now, as the dust settles, heaven celebrates. The long battle has not only changed you, it has fulfilled something in the unseen realm. You see, your obedience was never small. Every time you chose to trust instead of fear, every time you forgave instead of fought back, every time you stayed when running seemed easier, heaven took notice. The angels assigned to your journey recorded every act of faith as worship. Your endurance has been more than survival. It has been a symphony of devotion played before the throne of God. There is a sound in heaven for every victory on earth, even the quiet ones. You may not have seen the celebration, but the moment you stood, when you had every reason to fall, the heavens erupted in light. Your perseverance has become praise. The unseen world rejoices because your obedience completed what your warfare began. What you didn't realize is that your trials were not just about you. Heaven was writing a larger story, one where your endurance unlocked blessings for generations after you. Your choices in hidden moments shifted things in realms beyond your sight. The ripple of your obedience reached places you'll never visit, touching hearts you'll never meet. That is the mystery of divine impact. When you obey, heaven multiplies the result. We are reminded through the writings of David in the Psalms, chapter 126, verse 5. Those who sow in tears shall reap with songs of joy. You have sown more tears than most, but now the season of song has come. The sorrow you carried was not wasted, it was seed. Every moment of heartbreak, every whispered prayer, every silent surrender planted something eternal. Now heaven is sending rain, and joy is blooming where pain once grew. The same ground that held your tears will now hold your testimony. There is a celebration in the invisible. The angels who fought for you stand in reverent stillness as heaven's light crowns you with peace. The war is over, and you are still standing, not broken, but built, not defeated, but defined. The fragrance of victory rises from your spirit like incense, and the heavens breathe it in. Chosen one. The beauty of this moment is quiet, but powerful. Heaven rejoices, not just because you won, but because you became. The process you once despised has now revealed its purpose. You see it now, how every loss was an exchange, every delay a design, every detour a direction. God's fingerprints are everywhere, written even in the parts of your story that once made you weep. You carry a peace now that the world cannot give or take away. It is the peace that comes from knowing you are exactly where you are meant to be, that nothing was wasted, and that everything, even the pain, worked for your transformation. The weight that once crushed you now feels like wings. Heaven rejoices because your faith did not fracture. You've become a living psalm, a melody of mercy, a testimony that grace can turn ashes into beauty. You are the embodiment of promise fulfilled. The same tears that blurred your vision now shine as diamonds of glory in your crown. There is a holy stillness in heaven when a chosen one completes the assignment of endurance. The angels step back, and the Father smiles, not because you were flawless, but because you were faithful. That is what heaven honors most, faithfulness in the fire. You may not have seen the full reward yet, but in eternity's record, your name glows with light. This rejoicing is not just celebration, it is coronation. Heaven marks you now as a vessel of peace, an ambassador of hope. Wherever you walk next, grace will follow like a shadow. Wherever you speak, healing will flow like water. The same mouth that once cried for rescue will now speak restoration. The season of sorrow is complete. The melody of mourning has turned into a hymn of joy. You will no longer walk heavy. You will walk holy, carrying within you the fragrance of every tear redeemed. Heaven's song over you is not a distant sound. It hums quietly in your chest, a constant reminder that you have crossed from warfare into worship. This is what divine victory looks like, not noise, not triumph shouted from rooftops, but quiet rejoicing that saturates the air. The earth may not see it, but heaven does, and in that unseen celebration, your spirit stands crowned, radiant and free. Chosen one, you have emerged from the fire, not as who you were, but as who you were always meant to be. The ashes that once clung to your shoulders have turned into the shimmer of oil, the sign of anointing. You are not the same. The fear that once lived in your voice has been replaced with authority. The hesitation that once held you back has been swallowed by courage. You are no longer walking, you are rising. You have become what the world needs, a torchbearer. Your very existence now carries light that others can follow. The roads you once crawled through in tears are now paths illuminated for those still finding their way. What once broke you has now built a bridge for someone else. You've become a living map of redemption. There's something sacred about this kind of rising. It's not loud, not prideful. It's the kind that glows quietly, like dawn after a long night. You don't need to announce it. Those who see you will know. Your peace will speak. Your resilience will preach. Your joy will testify louder than words. The ancient words recorded in the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 5, verse 14. You are the light of the world. A city set on a hill cannot be hidden. You are that city now rebuilt from ruins, standing tall where devastation once lived. Your walls are not made of stone, but of stories. Your light does not come from electricity, but from endurance. You are proof that even when darkness tried to silence you, it only made your glow stronger. You see, carrying light is not easy. Light exposes what darkness wants to hide. It demands honesty, compassion, and courage. But you, chosen one, have already been tested in all three. You've faced shadows in others and in yourself. You've learned to shine even when it cost you comfort. That's why heaven trusts you with this torch, because you know what it costs to carry it. Now, this light is not meant to be hidden. It's meant to spread. Every word you speak, every act of kindness, every prayer you whisper in secret, all of it becomes spark and warmth to someone else. The world is cold, and you are fire. Don't underestimate the power of that. Think of a lighthouse on a rocky coast. Its purpose is not to chase ships, but to stand tall and shine so the lost can find direction. You are that lighthouse now. Your story, your faith, your survival, they are beacons. Somewhere out there, a soul is drifting in dark waters, and your light may be the signal that leads them home. So let your story breathe. Beloved, let your testimony echo. Like this message, not just because it moved you, but because it might move through you. Share it as an act of compassion, a torch passed to another heart that's losing its flame. Subscribe if you want to stay near this light. Not for numbers, but for nourishment. Because every word here is more than content. It's communion. It's where broken ones remember they're chosen too. And as you do, pause for a moment and reflect. What part of your light are you ready to give away? Maybe it's a kind word, a prayer for someone else, or even just a comment that says, "I'm still standing." Every time you speak hope, you multiply it. Every time you pass the flame, you push back the night. Your journey has not been wasted. It was an initiation training for the torch you now carry. You are stepping into a role heaven wrote long ago, not just survivor, not just believer, but leader, a radiant one, a bringer of warmth to cold hearts. The world is watching, even if silently. Someone out there has lost faith in miracles until they see you. Someone has stopped believing in restoration until they hear your story. You may not know their name, but your light will find them. That's what it means to be chosen to carry something greater than yourself. So walk boldly now, not in arrogance, but in quiet assurance. The flame within you cannot be extinguished by mere winds of doubt. You are heaven's lantern, in human form, gentle, yet unstoppable. And if these words have found their way to your heart, take a moment in the comments below to share what this light means to you. Speak from the soul. Let your reflection become a spark for someone else reading in silence. Because sometimes, one honest sentence can reignite a fading flame. You are the torchbearer, chosen one, and every time you shine, darkness loses. Chosen one, your rising has not gone unnoticed. The moment you stood back up, the heavens shifted again. But something else happened too. Other hearts began to stir. The light you now carry is awakening those who have been sleeping in the shadows. You were never chosen just for yourself. You were chosen to awaken others. It starts quietly. A word you speak in passing touches someone's soul. A story you share begins to move in a heart that has forgotten how to hope. You may not see it, but every act of faith creates a ripple. The echo of your endurance travels farther than you know. What you've overcome gives others permission to believe they can, too. You see, in every generation, there are awakeners, those who rise first, so that others may follow. They are not louder than the rest, but they burn differently. Their presence changes the atmosphere. They walk into rooms and unseen things realign. You are one of them. Your survival was the spark that heaven needed to ignite this chain reaction. There are others watching you, though they may never say it. Some of them have been fighting silent battles. Some have been questioning God, wondering if He still speaks, still heals, still rescues. And then they see you, not perfect, but peaceful, not without scars, but without shame. You become living evidence that grace still works. This is the awakening, not a shout, but a quiet stirring of souls remembering who they are. Heaven is moving through you to reach them. You have become a carrier of divine permission. Permission to begin again, to believe again, to dream again. That's what it means to be chosen, not only to be rescued, but to become a rescuer. The voice of God thundered in the book of Isaiah, chapter 60, verse 1. Arise, shine, for your light has come, and the glory of the Lord rises upon you. Those words were once prophecy. Now they are your reality. The glory rising upon you is not for display, it is for distribution. The light you carry multiplies when you share it. Heaven's design is always expansion. One flame becomes many. One miracle becomes movement. One voice becomes a chorus. Your journey has been more than survival. It has been the blueprint for awakening. The pain that once silenced you has become the language of empathy. You can now speak to broken hearts in a way that no sermon ever could, because you've lived the words they need to hear. You don't just tell them they'll make it, you are proof that they will. This is what heaven means by legacy. Legacy isn't measured in fame or applause. It's measured in the lives your endurance has touched. Every person who rises because they saw you rise becomes part of your spiritual lineage. Their victories are extensions of your obedience. And it's not only individuals, entire atmospheres change. When a chosen one awakens, homes shift, generations realign, cycles of fear, addiction, and shame begin to break. What once ran in families begins to end with you. You carry the spiritual authority to close doors of darkness that others left open. This awakening is contagious. The moment light touches darkness, darkness can never remain the same. Even those who resist at first will find themselves drawn to the peace you carry. It's not your words that change them, it's your presence, your endurance, your unwavering hope. You've become a living sermon without needing to preach. But remember this, beloved, awakening others doesn't mean you carry their burdens. It means you carry clarity, the reminder that there's always a way back to the light. You're not called to fix people. You're called to illuminate the path so they can walk it themselves. You will see it happen soon, the quiet transformations. The friend who begins to pray again. The stranger who messages you saying your story gave them strength. The family member who starts to believe in healing. These are not coincidences. They are confirmations that your awakening has become a wave. And as more rise, the world begins to glow. What once was covered in despair now pulses with revival. One life at a time, one spark at a time. The fire spreads. You are the beginning of that. You are the sound of morning after a long night. The evidence that light has not lost its voice. You may not fully grasp how far your obedience will reach, but heaven does. You were never meant to be the final flame. You were meant to be the first. The awakening has begun because you didn't give up. And now, others will find their own strength through the trail your light has left behind. Chosen one, This is your inheritance, to awaken the sleeping, to remind the weary, to ignite the forgotten. You are the proof that one soul on fire can set 1,000 free. And as you continue walking, the glow behind you will become a sunrise, endless, expanding, and unstoppable. Chosen one. The battle is over, not in noise or chaos, but in quiet victory. The kind of ending that does not need to announce itself, because everything around you already knows the war has been won. The weight has lifted. The air feels lighter now. Sacred. Still. You are no longer fighting for peace. You are living in it. This is the moment heaven has been preparing you, for the moment when struggle becomes story, and story becomes strength. You look back and see it clearly now. Every battle you faced was not random, it was refinement. Every loss was not subtraction, it was sacred exchange. Heaven never intended to leave you wounded, it intended to leave you wise. You have walked through the fire and found not destruction. But, définition. What remains now is not just survival, it is legacy. You've become something eternal. The same pain that once broke you has turned into power. You speak differently now because you see differently. You no longer ask, "Why me?" but instead whisper, "Thank you for choosing me." You understand now that being chosen was never about comfort, it was about calling. And though the cost was high, the reward is higher still. Peace that cannot be stolen, faith that cannot be shaken, purpose that cannot be denied. As was written in the book of Revelation, chapter 3, verse 12, "The one who is victorious, I will make a pillar in the temple of my God. Never again will they leave it. I will write on them the name of my God and the name of the city of my God, the New Jerusalem, which is coming down out of heaven from my God, and I will also write on them my new name." Those words are your fulfillment. You have become the pillar strong, immovable, carved by trial and crowned by grace. You no longer stand in the storm. You stand after it. And your name is written in heaven's architecture. You carry a mark invisible to the world, but undeniable to the Spirit. Every step you take now echoes with divine identity. You belong to the one who called you through fire into freedom. You are not who you were when this began. You have shed layers of fear, peeled away the voices that once told you you were too small. You have stood face to face with darkness and realized it had no authority over light. You have become the living embodiment of victory, not loud, not boastful, but steady, quiet, certain. There's a strength in you now that feels ancient, as if it was always there, waiting to be remembered. And perhaps it was. Perhaps this final battle was never about becoming something new, but about remembering who you've always been, chosen, crowned, eternal. The trials did not create your power, they revealed it. You walk differently now because your soul carries a deeper rhythm. You have learned to move with heaven's timing, not rushing, not dragging, simply flowing. You no longer strive for acceptance, you rest in assurance. The same places that once felt like prisons now feel like altars. The same wounds that once bled now shine as windows through which light escapes. Heaven smiles upon you. Chosen one, not because you were flawless, but because you were faithful. You never stopped showing up. Even when you stumbled, you stood again. Even when tears blurred your sight, you kept walking toward the promise. That's what victory really is, not never falling, but never staying down. Now, your journey becomes testimony. Every scar tells a story that will outlive you. Every lesson you've learned becomes a lantern for others. You've become part of something far greater than yourself, the lineage of those who overcame. Heaven does not forget such names. Angels whisper them in reverence. This final stretch of your journey is not about striving, but about shining. You are no longer called to fight. You are called to be peace in chaos, to be faith in doubt, to be light in darkness. Your life itself has become a living prophecy of redemption, and as you walk forward, the world around you will feel it, the quiet gravity of someone who has met both suffering and salvation, and now walks in unshakable peace. You won't need to prove anything anymore. Presence will speak louder than words. The mark of the overcomer is not the crown you wear, but the calm you carry. The battles behind you no longer define you, they authenticate you. You are heaven's witness, proof that divine purpose always prevails. So now, breathe in the peace of completion. Let it settle in your bones. You've reached the end of the battle, but not the end of your becoming. For eternity does not end, it unfolds. And as it unfolds, you will continue to rise forever marked, forever chosen, forever victorious. Chosen one. You've reached the end of this journey, not an ending, but a beginning wrapped in peace. You've walked through fire, through silence, through shadows, and emerged radiant. This final breath of the message is heaven's whisper. You made it. And because you did, someone else will too. If these words have lit even a single spark in your soul, let that light keep spreading. Like this message, if it spoke to your heart, share it so it can reach another warrior standing at their edge. And subscribe if you wish to stay close to this stream of divine reminders, because we rise stronger when we rise together. And when you're ready, pause for one small act of faith. Leave a comment below. Write what this journey has awakened in you, a single word, a sentence, a prayer. You never know whose heart your words might heal. Your story is not finished. Chosen one. It's only just unfolding. Walk forward carrying the light you've found here. And remember, even after the final battle, heaven keeps writing your victory.